Hey, what's up? It's Cleet from the Attractions Group podcast. Welcome to another episode to kick off the month of July. It's just me and David today. We're going to be talking about a lot of things from the Six Flags Cedar Fair merger to the future of Universal Horror Unleashed. Here we go. Let's hop right in.
How's it going, Cleet?
Great. It's going great.
Great. It is going great. It's going great here, too.
Good. Good. Is it hot? I've heard it's like crazy hot in Cincinnati.
It has been, you know what? And I think the front finally went through. It's been in the mid-90s, and I thought the front went through last night. We got a bunch of rain. We went, after having basically 3 months of March a few months ago and getting rain every chance we got. It had been about 3 weeks since we had really good soaking rain. We got that over the last couple of days, about 3 inches in the last 3 days. But I think there's people to the east of us that got a lot more, including possibly a touchdown. I don't know if they said it did or maybe didn't. Who knows? But and it's starting to cool off. This morning it was raining, but I tell you what, it was like Florida humid this morning.
Really?
But yeah. But then again, I think it's going to cool off for a day, and then it's summertime. Then March is past, and then people like me, we think immediately as soon as it gets warm, after we had that 2 weeks of hot weather that we've been waiting for. Okay, this is October yet?
Yeah, pretty much. Right.
Never satisfied with the weather.
Yes. See, that was me when I lived in Ohio, and then I learned about the great time that is October to December in Florida. When it's just genuinely perfect every day. So that's pretty great. It's hard to complain.
So I gotta know. I should know this probably. Maybe I don't. Maybe I shouldn't know. I don't know. Give me a rundown. Who exactly is Elizabeth Bishop, and why are you a fan?
It's kind of a deep cut. She's a poet. She's somewhat important in weird parts of American poetry academia. She's not really that important, but she has this great poem called One Art that you should all stop listening to our podcast and go read.
No, actually shouldn't. Is there any reason why I would know who this person is?
Probably not. No, her most famous poem is One Art, which is like the art of losing isn't hard to master. So if you ever heard that, that's her. But nah, but Summer Camp Master Chef, back at you. What?
No, I'm pretty good at breakfast. I can do the cornflakes and pour the right amount of cornflakes in the milk and get it in there. Now, but that begs the question: were you a big summer camp fan back when you were younger, when you were a kid? Do you know anybody that's going?
I wasn't a big year after year summer camp, but I did a few summer camps, and I generally enjoyed them.
Now, see, I never really wanted any part. I need to stay away from those. But actually, I did go to a summer camp as a counselor after. I never went to camp when I was in school. I went after school as a counselor because that's what you normally do. You start at the top and you work your way down. That's back in the day, pre-Cleet Reinberger days, when camp was a camp. It's not like a mini resort like they're going to now. Now, my daughter, she's at camp right now. She's at a camp for church camp, Crossroads camp, and they're staying in college dorms. Okay, the camp she went to when she was in grade school, it was like their eating area was like a Cracker Barrel. Literally, it looked like a Cracker Barrel. Now, in the sleeping quarters, they had air conditioning, and some people brought their little refrigerators. Now, when I went camping, it's like a grumpy old man. Back in my day, when you went to camp, you almost had to sleep in a net because the mosquitoes were in your little open air. Whatever, the mattresses are gross. Even if you brought your own sleeping bag, you still didn't want to touch it after the week. The food was awful, but that's the way it was, and we liked it.
Yeah, and this was back in what, like 1825 when you were
1830.
Okay, all right. Sorry, I didn't mean to add you those extra 5 years.
That's all right.
Yeah, well, I think I remember doing the most recent camp I did was like the end of my senior year of high school. We did this little school camp for like one night in somewhere near Dayton. I don't remember what the camp was called, but
Chautauqua.
it could have been Chautauqua.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, they had, I mean, it was like there was a ropes course, a basketball court, there was disc golf to play. It was like everything you need to live. And then, good, there, air conditioned, I think air conditioned
Yes.
sleeping
Keywords:
too.
air conditioning.
Yeah, that is the key word. So, I mean, why not? I mean,
Yeah.
we're basically
Why
making it
not?
into a theme park. So
There you
this
go.
is, sounds good.
Now, my little byline was intended to be somewhat of a foreshadow of something coming up. It's coming up in September. I was going to put on there Camp Crystal Lake Master Chef. Now, I don't know that Camp Crystal Lake had a Master Chef. I just kind of made that part up. Do you know what Camp Crystal Lake is?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Well, for the three people that listen to us on a weekly basis, the Camp Crystal Lake is where the legend of Jason Voorhees, better known as fame as Friday the 13th, was born. He wasn't born there, obviously, but that's where the legend was born. And basically, if you haven't seen it, and these were literally almost movies that came along before my time, but it's to the point where I can't go into a dark room and not see that hockey mask on the other side in my mind. But basically, the plot of every Friday the 13th movie was some serial killer came back from the dead by who knows how, and he comes back and he goes after and kills in very creative fashion more teenagers.
Oh,
Go figure.
yeah.
Yeah, never go outside because the killer's always out there, and the person that goes alone, they always get. It's very predictable.
Yeah.
But I think there are about 12 movies in the series. I think I've seen all 13 of them. But the foreshadowing piece of this was that, and I didn't put Camp Crystal Lake on there because copyright. I'd rather say it than have it in print.
Yeah,
So,
right.
I don't know. I don't know how far back that goes. But in September, if you are listening to this, you're one of the 4 people, 3 or 4, whatever, that listen. If you're a vendor or you're a park that does a Halloween themed event, we want to interview in the month of September for a series that we're doing. I think this is the first time we're announcing it on here. I put something on the social channels to get some people in, but it is behind the scare. So we're going to be doing this in September, going to be publishing throughout the month, and then cruise on into the Halloween themed season.
Yeah. It's
It
going to be
feels like
great.
60 degrees already, Cleet.
I can feel it. I can feel the brisk air while I'm trick or treating.
Yes.
Yeah, I might trick or treat this year. No, I don't
I
think I
might.
will. Might you?
I always took the dad tax out of my girls' candy long after they forgot where they put it.
Right. That's good. That's good. Now, I did trick or treat last year at SeaWorld. Like you can go there and do a little. They give you some candy, so that's pretty cool. But okay, now that we're on the topic of theme parks, you this week
I
went
did.
to Holiday World. Tell me
Yes.
everything.
Well, the reason that we were there's about 70, between 60 and 75, and somewhere in that neighborhood. The professionals in the industry came to an IAPA meetup event, and it was hosted by obviously Holiday World, and the goodness, I hope I cut this part out. Is it Cook or Koch?
Oh, it's Cook. I think
Cook.
it's spelled Koch, but I'm sure it's Cook. But if it's
I've
not,
heard.
let me just look at that. Owner of Holiday World. Press video. Surely he'll say it. Here we go.
I should know that. I don't want to call him the last name or wrong last name.
The video I just watched, they just call her Leah, so that's not helpful. Okay, here it'll be
How
in this
about
one. Maybe not. Gosh, man.
let me see if Gemini has a hook on that. Just a sec. Okay. According to Gemini AI, the family that owns, I just put, how do you pronounce the last name of the family that owns Holiday World? I didn't even spell it. The family that owns Holiday World is the Cook family. They pronounce their last name to rhyme with Cook.
Makes sense. All right, there you go. Shout out to
So,
AI.
so please cut that part out. All right. I'm just going to start from where we went.
Yep.
So, yeah, Cleet, at Holiday World this past week, there was an event that was hosted there, actually hosted by the Cook family, who is fourth generation owners of Holiday World. But it was also an IAPA event. They do a series of events throughout the year called IAPA Meetup or IAPA Presents. I don't know which one in the series this was, is one or the other, maybe both. I don't know if they have a distinction between the names, but it was an event where we went and spent 2 days at Holiday World, learning from a number of people that are on their staff, including Leah and Lauren, which oddly enough are my daughter's names, Leah and Lauren. But of course, they're part of the Cook family, not
that's crazy.
But yeah, I like the names. And of course, when I tell them that as a joke, hey, I like your name, by the way. That just doesn't come off right. So you have to immediately, what you mean is a joke, you have to explain it right after that.
Right, yeah.
But great park. If you've never been, and I know you have, but if people listen to this, if 5 or 6 people maybe listening now, if you've never been, it is really a great park for so many reasons. It's got one of the best wooden roller coasters in the world, which I want to present the question to you: the Voyage, wooden coaster or not a wooden coaster?
It's a wooden coaster. I mean,
but it's got the metal frame. So does it classify as a wood or a hybrid?
So, if you want to get into the semantics, I think technically yes, it should be a hybrid. Like I agree, it's a hybrid. It has a steel structure and a wood. It's a hybrid. But the thing that makes a hybrid, like the RMC hybrids, are the fact that they use steel track, and they have that steel track in the shape of traditional wooden coaster track, not the fact that their actual support is steel. Like that doesn't, or wood. So to me, this is just my opinion, but I think like the Voyage, it has wooden track. It's a wooden coaster fully. The supports don't even, like Lightning Rod or holy speech, Storm Chaser at Kentucky Kingdom. That is a hybrid style track because it's wooden shaped track made of steel with steel structure. So technically that's just a steel coaster. But no, I'm not committing to that. That is a hybrid. Yeah. So anyway, that's just me. But, yeah.
Okay, so we rode that, and after the event was over, we saw the drone show. 500 drones, by the way. Some of them that have pyro on them had flames going off of them or fireworks going off of them. Incredible drone show. Which by the way, I'll post some of those pictures on our social media channels, just of the experience of that. We got to watch from a private viewing area where Good Gravy is at. Got to learn the backstory of Good Gravy, which not necessarily just the backstory, but how they came about just designing it, what was there before. And then, of course, riding Voyage for the first time ever for myself, riding at night. And it happened to be, was in one of the cars, either the car before or after, I forget which one, with Michael Graham, who is one of the leaders at the Gravity Group. And he's explaining what I need to be doing when I'm on the roller coaster riding it for the first time. Because, of course, it's at night. We're going out in the woods. And if he's telling me very excitedly, put your hands in front of your face to see if you can see your hands when you go through the woods. Of course, like an idiot, we're back in the middle of the woods, and I'm going like, and you can't. And I try to do the same thing on the wing coaster they have there. But immensely amazing, intense ride. Rough as you'd expect a wooden roller coaster to be, but not horrible. It's just like you'd expect a wooden roller coaster to be. Very fast, unexpected drops.
Yeah.
Goes through 8 tunnels, 5 of which are underground. It was just an amazing experience. And then, honestly, I got to tell you, going through the park, the Cook family with the Holiday World, and literally it's in the middle of a cornfield. You see a house with a barn, and then rising above the house is a steel coaster they have. And all of a sudden, poof, you're at an amusement park in Santa Claus, Indiana. So it was just an amazing experience. The park was in an immaculate condition.
Always.
We didn't see, there's no trash on the ground. When we came in the next day, there was I think we got there 8 o'clock, so it was a couple hours before the park opened. They're hosing down every square inch of the pavement, of the pavers, of the sidewalks was hosed down. It was just an immaculate condition. Uh, Guest experience off the charts,
Yeah.
and it's just a outstanding place. I wish it was closer than 3 hours. Isn't awful, but I will say the most interesting part of the whole piece, if there was any kind of a bad experience whatsoever, is that our hotel was a hotel right off I-64. I think it's the interstate, it's either 64, 65. I forget which one, but it was right there. So if you live in the Eastern time zone like we do, and you're going to Holiday World, which is in Central time zone, there are 3 of us in the hotel room, my wife and daughter, and all of our phones were set in different times because we were right there in the border of Eastern time zone, Central time zone. So one was saying it was 11 o'clock, the other was saying it was 10 o'clock. And we literally had no idea, okay, what time do we set the alarm for? Because if we set it to get up at 6 o'clock Eastern time, we're going to be getting up at 5 o'clock Central. Anyway, so that was one of the more interesting things. It was kind of a thrill ride in and of itself.
Yeah.
But long story short, if you've never been to Holiday World, good gravy. You got to get there.
Nice.
There we go.
And you do. I love Holiday World. It's so great. Did you get a chance to check out Splash and Safari at all?
We did. I was going to say that. And honestly, I've probably been to 6 or 7 different water parks in my life. And I'd say probably in the last 10, 15 years. I'm not a big water park person.
Me neither.
But I don't like suntan lotion. I don't look like I should be at a water park. So anyway, but one of the best water parks, honestly. They have 3, not one, not 2, 3 water coasters.
Yeah.
And
they're all insane.
Just yeah. Oh my goodness. I guess the newest one, it has LIM motors that pace it through.
Yeah, which is insane.
It's crazy. But it's a great experience, top to bottom. It was the first time in a while, and it definitely won't be the last. Cool. And if you could just imagine, if you were to guess, when they catered us lunch on day 2, what kind of lunch did you assume that they would be serving?
Maybe some turkey sandwiches, maybe some pasta, maybe, or burgers. Those would be one of those.
I'm thinking if you were to theme it, it would probably be what theme?
Oh, Thanksgiving? Or
yes, Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
It was literally a Thanksgiving lunch.
That's cool. Let's go. So you got to have some good gravy, hopefully.
It actually was. No pun intended. It was good gravy.
Yeah, Holiday World is so fantastic. I mean, the Voyage is obviously literally one of the best wooden roller coasters in the world.
Voyage, I'm sorry. I keep calling Legend and Voyage. I kept getting this messed up. But
really?
The Voyage is the big one at the back of the park.
Yeah, in Halloween, or in Thanksgiving. And then the Legend and the Raven are both in Halloween. Both themed to literature also. You have Washington Irving and the Legend of Sleepy Hollow in the Legend. And then, of course, the Raven is themed to Edgar Allan Poe. But those two are amazing. Those 2 rides are so fantastic. Legend. So you rode Legend too, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We hit all the
surely.
Unless there's a kiddie coaster that we missed.
There is. I don't know it's called Howl a Dog's Screaming Coaster or something. But yeah. But okay.
And they are teasing a new one coming, I believe.
I think so.
You've seen pictures of it. Yeah. They have the sandals along a fence row. Okay, and of course, I'm talking to the park president, Matt Eckert, who's been on the show, who'll be coming on again in the fall, and try to tease and then just get some insider information. Can you just tell us one thing? So what are you teasing here? And of course, nothing. So I guess we'll just have to find out. Now, you may have your ear to the ground more than me. Is this a 26 attraction or is it a 27?
I think it's 26. I think that's what we're hearing.
Okay. Well, there's nothing but turned over ground right now. If you're like me, you can get right up to the fence row. You can see there's nothing but dirt there now.
Yeah, or you get a big tripod and you hold it up with your, over the fence. I like to do that.
No, I don't have to do that.
Okay, so Legend though, those helixes, the laterals are crazy. If you've never ridden Legend, I don't think there's laterals like it in America, except maybe Ghost Rider. Maybe.
Okay.
It's crazy.
We rode Legend once or twice, at least once, maybe twice. I don't know, but we got on Voyage 4 times, including the
Yeah.
following day during the daylight. There's something to be said about riding during the daylight, by the way.
Oh yeah.
But
It's
yeah, the Legend,
humongous.
it is.
Yeah, I mean it's a ridiculous ride, but I'm so glad it exists.
Yeah. Second in length, I believe, only second to the Beast at Kings Island.
Yeah, which is crazy, right? Well, and I gotta say, now this is where I become a hater. I'm not a hater. I'm just a hater of my good friend Alex Getch, who loves the Voyage more than anything in the world. I like Hades 360 more than the Voyage.
I would love to get up to Wisconsin Dells to ride that.
Yes, and you should. And objectively, like, Voyage is way prettier. You have all the scenery. It's longer. Voyage is kind of a better ride on paper, like, I think by anyone's judgment.
Mm-hmm.
But personally, I just think Hades is nuts. I just love it.
I don't know. Voyage was out of control the whole time.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is incredible.
Yeah, yeah. Voyage is, man, so good. So, did you get to enjoy your free soft drinks too?
Yes, did make
Good.
very adequate use of that.
Good, as you should, as you absolutely should. I mean,
and free parking.
Yeah, and free sunscreen.
Yeah, people don't really realize how much of just a real value add that is.
Oh yeah,
and they went through in their presentation. They kind of went through when they said they wanted to try to do the free soft drinks for everybody, which this is their 25th year of doing that, and people thought they were crazy. They're going to lose money. Which okay, if you're thinking inside the box, yeah, it's just kind of crazy. But on the other side of that, I think they find that people don't drink as much as you would think they would. And the cups are smaller, so you don't have as much waste. And sometimes you get the 60-ounce cup, and I really only wanted a sip, and then you get that and you pitch it out. Yeah. So people don't really drink as much as they maybe you think they do. But at the same time, it is a great guest experience move.
Yeah.
And free parking.
Yeah.
The only thing that could have made that better, of course, I'll complain about it. Cars out in the sun all day. I went out in the middle of the day just to turn the air conditioner on and cool the car off. Well, we had electronics in there for stuff that we were doing before, and I didn't really want to come out and have my stuff cooked. So
yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good. Holiday World, A+ all around. It sounds like Thunderbird is clear for launch, as they like to say. Yeah. Wow. So great. I gotta get back. I'm missing it right now. I haven't been in.
Great experience.
Couple years. All right. So Holiday World. There we go. One thing I wanted to bring up in today's episode at some point is Netflix House.
Yes.
So Netflix House, if you have, this is kind of a news piece, but it's a little dated now. If you're an industry person and you're looking for a job, they're hiring a lot right now. So if you've been, unfortunately a victim of the recent layoffs across the Six Flags Cedar Fair chain, or if you're just looking for something new or you're looking to get into it, Netflix House is a pretty good spot. I think right now I've just seen there's a ton of listings online because it's such a new project. And what it is three planned family entertainment centers that are themed to the intellectual property of the media conglomerate that is Netflix. So Netflix, of course, is a streaming service, but they have, Stranger Things is like an original. And then you have Animal Logic, Netflix Animation. They bought Animal Logic. So they have a big animation studio that makes a lot of their own movies, like Luck. I think they made Orion in the Dark. That could be a lie, though. Someone check me. They made, Animal Logic has made a ton, too. DC League of Super Pets, the old. So a lot of intellectual properties to move around here. A lot of really famous ones. Wednesday, I mean, that's huge. They're going to be making family entertainment centers that can bring these characters to life. There's one planned for King of Prussia, which is like that rich mall area near Drexel in Philadelphia. There's one planned in some part of Dallas, Texas, and then another. Those two are going to be opening up pretty soon. And then next year in 27, or maybe even at the end of 26, I think it's 27 though, they're opening one up in Vegas too. So that's cool. I'm excited to see how those go. I'm sure they'll be successful. I mean, come on, people love those properties. So
Well, and you know, if you think about where Netflix came from, and I don't know the timeline of when all this happened,
Yeah,
but if you, the fact that they now have their own intellectual properties that they can build stuff off of and theme things off of, I wonder how long it'll be before they get into the actual theme park space.
me too.
But it was a number of. It wasn't too long ago. I'm old enough to, or young enough, I guess, to remember when. And I never ordered. I'm going off of memory of other people's experiences. So we just went to the Red Box and got our movies, and or the Blockbuster, if you remember what that is. But you would go online. I think. Don't fact check me on this, but and you'd order whatever movie you wanted from Netflix through the internet. That's how they got the
Yes.
Netflix. And instead of going to a kiosk or going to a brick and mortar, you did that, and they shipped you the movie
Yeah.
DVD. And when you're done with it, you'd send it back.
Yeah.
I believe it was $9.99 a month or something, some low number like that. But you know, who would have the patience to put up with that today? And that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean, who would order a movie to be, of course, it's delivered at your house? I guess it's banging off of Amazon, but literally, okay, I want to watch this movie in 3 days. No, yeah,
It is
I want to watch it
crazy.
now.
Yeah.
I don't want
Right.
to. I don't want to sit through 90 seconds of commercials. I want to see the movie now. Forget your
Yeah.
streaming commercials. Now. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
and now they're the huge conglomerate that they are, and they've got intellectual property they can theme stuff off of. It's genius.
Yeah. It is. It really, and I'm so excited. I really do think they're going to be players in the theme park space in the next 20 years. I think they're going to have a park.
I don't think it's going to be that long.
Yeah, yeah, I probably don't either, but it depends on how successful these launches are. So if you're in the Dallas,
Yeah.
Philadelphia, or Vegas area, get out there, support these guys. I want to. I want to get up there, especially for Dallas too, because I mean, we keep talking about more entertainment going to Dallas, but like, there's the new indoor theme park from Premier Parks. But no, okay, I'm gonna cut that. I got it.
Okay.
There's the new indoor park from Five Star that we talked about last week or 2 weeks ago that
Hmm.
just went into Dallas. There is the Kids Resort in Frisco. There's the Dude Perfect theme park coming there, and now another big entertainment center. And they're like family entertainment centers in their like in the idea of them. If you look up on NetflixHouse.com, they show you some information, but they're not like family entertainment centers on the inside. There's a lot of like escape rooms. There is
Hmm.
mini golf, motion
Yeah.
simulators. Um, there is a game room, I think, but even those, all the IPs are themed. There's a restaurant, but all the IPs are themed in the restaurant. Like that's pretty crazy. And it's just based on the IPs that Netflix has been successful with. Wednesday, which is like borderline horror, Stranger Things, which is
Hmm.
a heavy show. It seems like it's not really for children in the way that a typical family entertainment center might be,
Right.
which I find really interesting. And I don't really know how that's going to play out. I'm sure it'll be successful once again, because when you add IP in the mix, it's so much easier to be successful. But I'm
Yeah, because sometimes
curious.
you don't even have to have experienced the particular IP or the characters to enjoy the attraction.
For sure. Absolutely. I mean, like Wednesday, even if you haven't seen Wednesday, you know about the Adams family. So
Hmm.
it's huge. It's huge for sure.
And for what it's worth, I was enjoying the Harry Potter themed rides at Universal long before I ever saw the movie.
That too. That too. Yeah.
I'm not saying you should do it
100%.
that way, but it maybe the rides would make more sense if I'd watched them before.
Yeah, but no, I mean,
But
certainly there are movies like I've never seen any of the Transformers movies, and I still like the Transformers ride
yeah,
at Studios Florida. So I think that's definitely a real thing that happens. You just immersiveness is immersiveness, and it's cool no matter what.
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, do we have any more on Netflix?
Netflix House. I don't know.
This,
Just probably nothing more on Netflix
nothing,
House
okay,
other than, and I won't keep this in there. I think this is just you and me. I think I
okay.
might try to
In
apply
in
for
the
a
10
job
people
there.
listening,
Yeah, right,
you,
right, right. I think I might try to go to work at Netflix House one day because
oh,
if they're gonna get into the theme park space but aren't there yet, I would love to be with them when they make that jump. Is all I'm saying. So I don't know.
well, here we're going to get into a little bit of opinion, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, so we'll call this the beating the dead horse segment. which any podcast that's doing anything on the attractions right now or specific to any of the parks in the chain, and there are several, is some more information about the Six Flags Cedar Fair merger. And honestly, this is probably a topic that can keep coming up for the next couple of years because they said they're going to, they hope to have their reset in 2028.
Yeah.
Maybe it's in 2027, 2028, whenever that is. And from where I sit, I've gone to a couple of Cedar Fair parks a number of years. Cedar Point, Kings Island predominantly. Season pass holders there have been there for years, or been going for years. And yeah, I think from where I sit, and it's just my opinion. Cedar Fair, Six Flags, whatever they want to call themselves, it's mostly Cedar Fair management that is in the C-suite environment right now in the new Six Flags. They're smart people. They're a lot smarter than I am. They make these big decisions in trying to make a multi-billion-dollar company go along. I just read the next topic on our screen and go to the next thing. So I mean, there's my qualifications. I still get stuck in. Wow, a lot of talent went out the door. And some didn't know. They probably would be naive if they didn't know it was coming or had sensed something was coming. But a lot of people were a lot of long-term people are no longer with the company, and it's a whole new structure, and they're still in cost-cutting mode. And I get it. It's probably I have nothing to base this on. Like I said, I'm just a dumb guy. I'm just a dumb guy that goes to a park on his season pass. Staff cuts on the guest experience level, it's really taken a hit, and that's just my opinion alone. And I know that might risk anybody from Six Flags being on the podcast. Okay, good. I don't think Don and Ryan had anybody from Cedar Fair or Six Flags on when they had it anyway. So then I guess this podcast will continue the same relationship we've had for years. But the guest experience is down. The stock is trading at pandemic levels, what it did 5 years ago. And actually, I think to get it to where it is now, you have to go back to 2012 to get to where the stock's lower. So the shareholders are feeling it. The guest experience is feeling it. And I got to think the leadership is going to figure this out. They're smart people. I know they probably made calculated decisions in doing this, but along the way, and maybe you have an opinion, or maybe you have some pushback. I hope that the collateral damage as a guest experience in this 2025 season, I'd hate to think that they're not going to get it figured out by 26 because it's going to take a little while to turn the Titanic around. If they want to reset in 2028, the guest experience has got to get over the hump earlier, much earlier. I'd say 2025, but that's probably not a realistic expectation. But they'll figure it out. But I just hope along the way that the collateral damage isn't so insurmountable that they have to start piecing out.
Yeah, well,
what's you?
I mean, I don't think so. Let's talk about Kings Island first. Let's look at Kings Island in particular, right? Cedar Fair or Six Flags. That's what the company's called. I keep calling it. Yeah, Six Flags has said, maximum penetration for Kings Island. They've reached almost every guest they can in the area, which is, in the words of I think this is the professional term, ridiculous nonsense. But I mean, I don't think that's true. I don't think you can reach maximum penetration as a theme park ever, because until you're Magic Kingdom, you're not reaching every guest that you could be reaching. And when you're Magic Kingdom, you're still you're still not. So
yeah.
It's just the case that the way the merger happened is it's a money thing first right now.
It is.
It has to be. And so they have to do these cost cuts because they had to get the merger approved. So they had ticket prices are lower than they were before, and they're trying to save more money now. Well, guess what? Because past prices are lower, we have less money coming in too. So, yes, the guest experience is taking a hit, but also the price is lower. I'm not saying that that's we should just deal with this trade-off. This is great. It's fine. You can save some money now. No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is Cedar Fair, Six Flags, is a publicly traded company.
It is.
And they can't just let themselves absorb the hit for a little while until they get their feet back on the ground because they're a publicly traded company.
Right.
If Hershend with their new merger, if they want to spend 3 years just being tremendously in debt and like not fundamentally doing that well because they know that they're going to come out of it like crazy strong, the best version of them, they can do that because at the end of the day, it's like individual people who are responsible for that. And with a publicly traded
Mm-hmm.
company, you're responsible to report back to your shareholders and to tell them how you're making progress to make money. You have to do that. It's like the law.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, they'll end up saying things like, okay, well, we're not able to make any more money on Kings Island, so we're not going to invest there right now because that doesn't make sense for us to do because we've reached our maximum penetration. I think these people, the leadership at this company, the leadership at Kings Island and at the corporate level as well, know better. I just do because that's what got them to there.
Right.
I think everything right now is a game between the people who know how to run theme parks well, who are the Cedar Fair leadership team, and because they do know how to. I mean, they do. We've seen that they've been doing it. It's all right now a game between them and the shareholders
Mm-hmm.
about how they can keep them on their side through what is obviously a very tumultuous time. Tower Topics just posted a video yesterday or 2 days ago about whether it would have been better for Cedar Fair to have declared bankruptcy than to have gone through with this merger. And
That's a
you know,
toss up.
I, it's to me, it's not a toss up. It's just like
Yeah.
obviously in 15 years, are you really think that we will be doubting that at all? I just think right now it's tough. Yes, there's a guest experience hit at the elite of the Cedar Fair parks, but let's flip the coin and let's look at the legacy Six Flags parks. They are basically the same that they've always been. That there's just not a lot of differences. There are differences in the corporate structures at play here, but like everyone keeps mentioning how the rides are opening late and things like this. The dive coaster at Six Flags Great America simply would not have opened with the park 10, 15, 20 years ago anyway. It's just that's
Mm-hmm.
not how the Six Flags chain operates. They don't open their rides with the park every year, and that's fine. That's just you have to set the expectation to the guest with how it's going to be. You don't want people traveling to ride a new ride to open for the year. That's terrible. You cannot have that. But
Mm-hmm.
if you manage your expectations, that's fine. And look, yes, I understand. Alpen Fury is not at a legacy Six Flags park, and that's not open yet still. But pre-merger, we were looking at a Cedar Fair chain who could not get Adventureport open on time with the park.
That's
And
true.
it's two flat rides. I I don't think as much the the current state of affairs for Kings Island in particular is to be blamed on the merger as is being put out there. I don't see Six Flags corporate as the villain. I see the structure that Six Flags corporate has to report back to the shareholders with immediate steps for making money. That structure is the bad guy here. That's the reason that
Mm-hmm.
cost cuts have to happen because the merger had to happen. And I'm confident we'll get out of it and everything will be fine. And we'll get back to some sense of what the Cedar Fair parks are to us, what they're used to be. And I'm also confident that when that day comes, they will be cheaper than they were before because that's part of the deal. That's how this merger got approved, is that promise that they will be cheaper than they were before. And so I just am looking forward to that day and willing to accept the fact that, maybe we won't see the improvements that we think we ought to in the next 3, 4, 5 years.
I would come down the side of that. Whereas it's at least in the Kings Island area. Sorry, this is ringing. Sorry, in the Kings Island realm, I think over the years the guests have been spoiled to the fact that they got we got a new ride every year. Usually, probably 2 rides every 3 years, on average. Maybe sometimes 3 every 3 or 2 every 3, and maybe some when the economy's not as well, maybe 1 out of 3. Anyway, I I know they have a ride coming up next year. I don't know anything about the ride. I don't know anything to point to other than it's a family thrill attraction. Now, we know in the past, and it's not just incumbent on Cedar Fair parks, it's all parks. They have the concept plan, and this is what it's supposed to look like. And then when costs come through, and it's supposed to cost $5 million. Oops, now it's going to cost $7. You got to cut some things out.
Sure.
So the actual doesn't always, well, very very rarely does it represent the concept.
Yeah.
My thinking is, and again, this is me, just a dumb guy. Rather than taking a family thrill attraction or whatever the roller coaster may be, whatever theme it may be, as opposed to scaling that back, contracts are probably signed. This isn't feasible, but delaying the project maybe a year or two until financially it improves. And in the meantime, some guest experience things, and I'll just speak to Kings Island. We're not a Kings Island podcast, but it's the one that you and I are both familiar most with, probably, with the exception of Disney and now with you. But the things that they did over the last off season, doing the retracking on the Beast, great, great guest experience move. It is smoother now than I think probably since it's open. And
Yeah.
some of the things they did last year, Adventure Port wasn't a large expansion, but it's a very pleasant look, very aesthetically pleasing. It's a very very good grounds on. I'm sorry, the Camp Snoopy was last year,
Yeah.
and Adventure Port was the year before. Camp Snoopy is a very very nice area. I would hope that they would take that and kind of replace Planet Snoopy with all that and kind of make it all one part. But I would rather, instead of spending millions on a brand new attraction, spruce up what you got and make it. You'd spend less. The guest experience would be incrementally better. You wouldn't get the new attraction, but things would be cleaned up and maybe hire some people to take care of some of the guest experience issues that they're facing now. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, and so I see what you're saying. I mean, I do. I think if you're the park, it is awesome and extremely admirable to do the things that they did this
Mm-hmm.
offseason, for example. Change backlot to Queen City Stunt Coaster. That I cannot
Mm-hmm.
stress that enough. I think that's such an awesome, good faith move by the park to just say, we care about our guests and here's something new for you. Great. The
Mm-hmm.
Beast retracking is another great example of this. And then, not to mention, they're getting a new water coaster this year, too. Last year, they got Planet Snoopy. The year before that, they got Adventure Port. The year before that, they got the cabins. The year before that, they got Orion. Like, they've still been getting
Right.
plenty of investment. But if
Can I
you're
hit the pause button there? Okay, and there's a lot of debate going on about this. I think from the water coaster Kings Island has. If you want to compare this, since we talked about Holiday World a couple minutes ago,
yeah,
the water coasters there and the water coaster that Kings Island has, they're not even the same page of the dictionary. So but that's one of those, and just from where I sit, rather than, I haven't been to the water park this year, so I haven't ridden it. I've only read what other people have said about it or heard what other people have said about it. My line of thinking, to my point earlier, is don't spend money on that attraction this year and do something that's, you're going to get this experience at 100 other parks. Wait a couple of years until the financial piece improves, and then do something people haven't seen before, and something that really will create a long line every time they ride it.
so you're saying they should get investments less often, but bigger investments.
I think so. I think you want an attraction that, I think of, I know Universal is Universal, fine. Or
Yeah.
take it back a number of years. If you wanted the Tomb Raider the ride experience that Kings Island had, the only place to get it, if you wanted it, was Kings Island. If you want the Hagrid's ride, the only place to experience that is at Universal Orlando. To make it so that it's not so cookie cutter. If you have Orion or Diamondback or Millennium Force or Fury, hyper coasters, giga coasters, I don't want to say they're a dime a dozen, but you can get those experiences at any park, almost. Oh, okay, you're differing with me now that I see the facial expressions.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
crazy. What are you talking about? I mean, okay, Fury
Okay,
325 is literally one of the best roller coasters in the world. Like,
okay.
the idea that the idea that you could get the experience of Fury 325 somewhere else is literally insane. Like, I get it. It's
Okay.
not Hagrid's. Of course it's not. But like like
I've really triggered something in your head.
well, Fury's like my favorite like Fury was my
Okay.
number one coaster for a long time. So it's just like that just seems crazy. But okay. And I do see what you're saying. I do understand like there is a huge benefit to being able to say this is the only place you can do this. That's why people are going to be able to draw people from further away to come in here. But
Hmm.
also, let's say, you know, Kings Island doesn't do Adventureport and they don't do Camp Snoopy. They don't build Snoopy soapbox racers. They don't do the Queen City stunt coaster thing. They save all of that money and they're going to add it to the budget of their new family attraction for 2026. That way, it can be a truly spectacular family attraction, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
That's what is definitely true is that that family attraction would be a lot better than what it is actually going to be.
Right.
Just of course. But what's also true is that they would have less visitors in the years in between. Like by adding Camp Snoopy and Snoopy Soapbox Racers, you get this whole ability to do limited time offerings, extra marketing campaign. I mean, that is their thing for the year. We're building a new kids area. Bring your kids. What's going to be great? We're building a new kids coaster just for them. Adventureport, it's not much, but still, it's something you can put on the TV and say, hey, look, guys, we built 2 new rides for you. This is what we're doing for our pass holders, whatever it may be. It's a new experience. If they come back to the park and the only differences are better operations, your ice machines don't have, you know, they're not empty like they've been this year, and the beast is retracked. Yes, it is true that like that will add up and create a better day for your guests. They're not going to realize that anything is different. I just think financially, it doesn't make any sense to not try to add in a new investment every year when investments are the thing that make people return.
I agree with much of that, but at the same time, I think there's Kings Island's first water coaster could have maybe been a little more than what it ended up being. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
and
know.
I mean, Orion could have ended up being more than what it ended up being too. People wanted the 350-foot tall Giga and all these things,
Yeah,
but like for me, to me, Kings Island is a great institution. The fact that it
it is.
exists
It
is
is.
very good for the people of Cincinnati, for the employees of Kings Island, obviously, for the families who want entertainment for their family. And if Kings Island needs to build a 287-foot tall Giga coaster instead of a 350-foot tall Giga coaster, because yes, for the true hardcore fans, we know the difference. We can feel it. We know,
Right.
yeah, this is bigger than Fury 325 now. But for like the vast majority of people, you get on a water coaster. Whoa, that's a water roller coaster. How about this? You get on a Giga coaster. Whoa, this is one of the tallest coasters in the world. How about this? Like, it's a business, and I would much
It
prefer
is.
it to be successful as a business so that it could keep existing and keep doing the good things that it does for the community of Cincinnati and for its employees than to provide a slightly better product for the most intense of coaster fans among us. But I don't know.
Well, okay. Now, okay. Say you live in Louisville.
Okay.
Now, I don't want to get into not downing Kings on it's. I don't want to come across that way. That probably is, and I'm not on the bankroll for Holiday World. So there's my 2 disclaimers. You live in Louisville, Louisville. However they pronounce it. You can go 1 hour to the west and go to Holiday World,
Yep.
or 2 hours to the east northeast
Yeah.
to Kings Island.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, the Kings Island's new shtick is they have a new water coaster. Are you going to go to experience the new water coaster, or go to the place over here that has great water coasters? Which are you going to buy the season pass to?
Well, so that's what I'm saying. Is if I'm a crazy coaster enthusiast, I'll know that Cheetah Chases and Mammoth and Wildebeest, these are better than what Kings Island has provided. But if
Even though
I'm
Kings Island they have the new water coaster, you'd still it's the option over here is still, well, my hand this way is still better.
But yeah, if I was literally me, Cleet Reinberger. But if I was literally me, Cleet Reinberger, I'm going to both either way. If I'm
Well,
a traditional family, if I'm just a family who's there, yeah, I'm gonna go ride the new water coaster because I've never done that before. I don't know anything about it. The people who are intense coaster fans are gonna go to Kings Island no matter what, and the people who are on the border aren't gonna know the difference between Fury 325 and Orion. And it's $10-15 million for the company, so why wouldn't they just build Orion? I just
Yeah,
that's the way I see it.
but I'm thinking at the same time, I like creativity. I like storytelling. I like just something that do something out of the box that other people have not done before. So, from my mind, thinking budgetary concerns were a real thing this year, and probably will be into next year.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean they're not going to invest in the individual parks. Why not take the money that was set aside for it's not a mat racer, I forget what the name's called, but the new water coaster Kings Island, delay a year and put the money that they would put in towards the new attraction next year plus one for this year, make it into one. What could that coaster have been then? And would it be enough to put something like I would travel 3 hours to go ride I don't know the names of the water coasters at Holiday World, but they speak for themselves. They had the LIM launch on a water coaster, which I didn't even know you could do with water. But it's just a very unique experience, and it speaks for itself, and it's not new.
This is true. This is true, and you're right. It is better. Like Cheetah Chase is amazing, and like
Is that the name of it?
yeah, that's the one that launches. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I do, but I also think like if you're a family in Louisville, you're gonna see that Six Flags now owning Kings Island has brought the Kings Island season pass down to a price that's cheaper than it's been in a long time.
Is
And
it? I
yeah,
I,
it is.
I think I
The
still paid $145 for mine.
Okay. For your
140 145, and I think it's $150 now for the gold pass.
yeah, but that pass now, and I'm not really sure, but that pass is admission to every park in the chain.
Not mine. The gold pass is not.
Okay, interesting. Well, regardless,
I don't know. I don't
it's
know
a
if the
better
price was
value.
up
I'm just. It is correct that it's a better value than it's ever been. You know, to buy a Six Flags Cedar Fair, both individual of their highest passes that will get you into all the parks would have been over $500 before, and that's just not the world we live in now. So, yeah, it is definitely a better deal. And if you live in Louisville, I mean, you're 3.5 hours from Six Flags St. Louis, so you know you maybe keep that in mind too. I just don't see how, if you're Kings Island, you're going to be thinking about the people in Louisville the specific family in Louisville who knows enough about parks and about water coasters and about these things to say, we're going to delay this by a year so that we can provide a much better water coaster, because then these people who are really locked in, who have a lot of extra information, will know that this is actually something worth traveling for. I just don't think the average person who is visiting a theme park and who doesn't spend 45 days a year, you know, just absolutely riding hard all day, or more, you know, it can definitely be more. But if you're going to a park 2 or 3 times a year, you do not learn or care about the nuanced differences between a ride like Mammoth and a ride like the new water coasters that Cedar Fair and Six Flags are putting into Kings Island this year. I think the business decision of building them is one that gets you people in the park this year, and that's what you need, because you need cash flow in order to heal your merger wounds.
Yeah, we probably need to move on to a different topic. If people are just tuning in, this isn't a Kings Island podcast. It's not a Holiday World podcast. And shame on me, I shouldn't have picked Louisville because it completely negates Kentucky Kingdom.
Yeah, which is great.
Just said Indianapolis, and then there's Indiana Beach. So, but no, and honestly, the news topics coming along with the Cedar Fair Six Flags merger probably couldn't have come at a better time if you're Kentucky had some pretty good reviews about it. So they're probably just sitting back and we'll just let this play out.
Yes,
And
and well, they better not let it play out too long because
yeah,
it'll end up being great for everybody. But okay, yes. Another thing we should talk about though is the new Universal Horror Unleashed park announced for Chicago
Chicago.
for next year.
Yeah. So what's going on with Universal? They're getting their tentacles out everywhere now.
Yeah, they're
They're
crazy. They're insane.
they're in Europe. They're in Vegas. They're in Chicago.
Yeah. So Horror Unleashed, they're not huge parks. You know, they're pretty small. They're horror based parks, but they are really good, and you know, they're really great to replicate, to have as a little thing that you pull from your region and you don't need to pull from
Mm-hmm.
the whole country. So, you know, I do anticipate, I'm not sure, but I anticipate the park that goes into Chicago will be extraordinarily similar to the park that goes into Las Vegas. Um, you know, I can't say for sure, but I do think
Speaking
they'll
of
be.
speaking of hockey masks, Jason Voorhees is part of the Universal thing, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll be skipping that one.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
did. Go ahead.
traumatized by that hockey mask enough during my childhood years. I don't need to have it dragged into my adulthood years.
Right, right. So I was talking to somebody, and I don't even remember who it was. So there's never going to be a way for me to prove this. But we were talking about where the next Horror Unleashed park was going to go like 3 or 4 months ago, and I said Chicago. So
Oh, that makes sense.
yeah, not to toot my own horn, but toot. Yes, but it does kind of make you wonder too if you've got one in Vegas and you got one in Chicago. Let's say, you know, that none of them have opened yet. They announced their second Horror Unleashed park before the first one opened. You know, they're confident they're going to have
Yeah.
success, and as they should be. Horror Nights is
Oh,
tremendously
yeah,
popular.
it's Universal.
Yeah, but where do you think they might go next?
You know, naturally people are going to say a place like New York, but I don't think so.
It's tough in New
It
York.
seems like it seems like Texas.
Okay.
Dallas gets a lot of the attention here recently.
Yeah.
I can't really think of any other population center because Las Vegas is too close to Los Angeles to compete with
Yeah.
each other. And I don't know. I would say probably Dallas or some population center in Texas.
Maybe like Houston or something, because the kids resort is kind of in Dallas, but also kids and horror. These are like completely different,
Yeah.
demographics you're trying to draw from. So it kind of might make sense to have it next to the kids resort so that you have something for everybody. I don't know. I kind of think maybe like San Francisco, or maybe not San Francisco, but somewhere in the Bay Area. San Jose could
You think
maybe.
so?
I mean, you're far enough from Vegas for sure from there,
Yeah,
but
far enough from Vegas, but you think over Texas? Like logic would say New York, but there's such a critical mass of people, and there's no place to park. So you're basically at the mercy. No, we were there last 2023,
yeah.
and literally we parked in Newark and took the train in, and there's wall to wall people. The only places you'd think a place something like that would go would be Times Square, and where are you going to put it there?
Yeah, or like Newark. You could put it in like the outskirts in New Jersey or in you
You
know.
could, but people go to New York to be in New York. I guess
But if it's
they
for the
could put
locals,
it could, but I think you're going to be making that for more than just locals. I'd go to Chicago to experience this.
yeah,
It's
that's
only five
fair.
hours from Cincinnati.
That's fair. But to be fair, if there was anywhere where they could just rely on the locals and not on the tourism, it would be New York. There's enough people.
Yeah,
And not to mention, like, you could pull from Philadelphia, or you could pull like, and they can go to New York anytime they want to. So I don't know. It's possible, is all I'm saying. Um, yeah, maybe Texas for sure. I think is great, and then Northern California, maybe like Hawaii. I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Just shooting from the hip there. I didn't really think that
Yeah,
through at all. So
I don't know. Is there any big attractions in Hawaii?
I mean,
I mean,
besides
there's some
like the nature, I
Disney
don't
has a
think.
resort there.
Yeah, a lot of resorts, but I can't think of any. There's no coasters in Hawaii. There's no roller coasters. I don't think there's any theme parks. Um, maybe there's some FECs.
I'm
Surely
sure
there
there
are
are.
some, but I don't really know. They could go international with it too. They could go. place one in Toronto or something like that, or across in Europe. Try to
I could see something going to Toronto. I know.
yeah,
I don't know that. I thought we were talking about the United States, but
fair,
I
yeah,
honestly, I could probably see them going international at the place before they go to a third place in the United States.
yeah, that's possible. Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're crazy. They're crazy, especially with their cruise line rumors. Maybe Galveston, maybe Houston actually, because if the cruise line rumors are true, having a shoreside destination for
yeah.
people to enjoy the night before, the day after your cruise, is very, very good for the pocketbook. So, yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting call.
What else we got? What do we got? What do we got?
Yeah, who
You know,
knows?
I honestly thought we'd have a short episode this week because news-wise, we didn't have a guest.
Yeah,
News-wise, it's kind of a quiet week. So
yeah,
I thought, of course, what are we going to talk about? Well, let's get on a hot button topic where we disagree on something and we can go for an hour, apparently.
yeah, apparently. So, also, I did hear, real quick, I have to mention this because it's kind of blowing up. I work for the Walt Disney Company. I'm not talking on behalf of them in any way. This is just a personal Cleet Reinberger thing. But I've heard some crazy rumors this week
Okay.
about Walt Disney World and their permit filing long term in Orlando that involve fifth gate.
That's a long-standing rumor. I mean, I've heard that for ever since I think Epic was announced. Sometime before that, there's been I don't remember if I heard this or thought this that it'd be somewhere between uh, Animal Kingdom and the rest of the resorts because there's a long space in between there that you could put something.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that what the rumor is?
I mean, I don't. To be honest, I haven't looked enough. I could check the actual permits. They had to file, and supposedly that's like this. Obviously you could file a permit and then not do anything about it, but
Mm-hmm.
some new build, and it could be a new resort, it could be a lot of things, but a lot of people are suspecting it's going to be that fifth, long rumored fifth gate adventure park type thing.
So you think it'll be an adventure park, kind of like a California's Adventure?
Kind of like a California. Is it that's kind of what I'm thinking. Kind of like almost it's Disney. They're going to do crazy storytelling. They're going to, of course, but almost kind of like an amusement park, more so
Yeah.
than like a theme park. So I could see it being a lot like California's Adventure, and maybe coming with a new hotel too. Maybe who knows? But either way, I mean, we're talking Disney. We're talking this could be a 2038 thing, and I'm literally serious. That
It
could
could,
be early,
even if they
even
announced it tomorrow, it would literally be. I can't imagine it'd be 7 years before it opened
at
because
least, yeah, at least,
and Epic Universe was announced in 2008. I think originally, maybe you know better than I do. I thought it was originally announced in 2018, and of course during the pandemic they cut it all together.
yeah.
And I think it was 21 before it came back online, or was it 22?
I think it was 22 before. Yeah, they started
22.
digging
And
again.
so they probably had just about every available construction person that wanted to get back on the job doing something. They
Yeah,
had probably all those people at their disposal and really booked it to get that thing made in 3 years.
yeah, which is
Which
crazy.
I don't think if they started today, they wouldn't get it done in 3 years because the workforce is spread back out
Yeah, that's
to the
true.
pre-pandemic levels.
That's a good point. Yeah, I also think though, like Universal also just does things faster. Like
Yeah.
they opened a Wicked storefront at Universal Studios Florida the weekend that the movie opened. Yeah, that's insane. Like Disney is, does amazing, amazing things. But like, they're building an Encanto, the casita from Encanto for the Tropical Americas project in Animal Kingdom, which may open in 2026, probably will open in 2027. And that movie came out in 2021, and that's like an immediate reaction to the success of the
Yeah.
movie. So Universal also, Florida, if you might see, there's a big pathway in between the Hard Rock restaurant and like the edge of Universal Studios Florida, where you can
Mhm.
walk back if you're doing like a studio tour. It's where you check in for the Orlando Informer events as
Oh,
well.
yes.
Yeah.
By the way, finish your story. Then I got a big announcement on that.
Okay, great. That area right now is all under construction, which notably it's right next to Hollywood Rip Red Rocket. So they've been doing a lot of land clearing, and it looks like whatever is coming to replace Rip Red Rocket, be it the much rumored Intamin Fast and Furious roller coaster or whatever it is there, it's going to be expanding its footprint substantially, it seems.
And can't wait till that comes out. And before
Yeah.
I get to what I was going to say, question being, from the outsider, it seems like what footprint Epic Universe occupies is also shared a little bit by what Islands of Adventure is. They kind of share the same experience. It kind of thrill rides for both. What do you see? Just your opinion. What's the future of Islands of Adventure? Are they going to continue investing in new attractions for there, or is it going to slowly become more like the studios and most of the attraction stuff head over to Epic?
I actually think they're going to keep a lot of their thrill rides. Of course, like nothing's happening to Velocicoaster to Hagrid's.
No, I mean going forward, new things.
Yeah. But I also think the thing that they need to do, like it's not even an option, is to start putting in some entertainment into that park. I was walking through this morning, actually, at Islands of Adventure, and just looking for things that weren't rides to do there. And I was having some difficulty. And I never really realized that because I'm such I love rides, so if that's my go-to. But like, whoa, during Christmas, they have a show over in Seuss Landing. And there used to be a show in Lost Continent. That's gone. Poseidon's Fury wasn't a ride, but that's gone. There's the fireworks, kind of light show that they do on the Hogwarts Castle every night. So that's a legitimate entertainment offering there. And occasionally you'll see a pop-up show in Diagon Alley with some people singing, but that's literally it. They need shows there. Like there is genuinely, if you're not a rides person, there is like nothing to do at Islands of Adventure, which is something I've just realized recently.
I'd settle for cheaper butterbeer, to be honest.
Yeah.
That would suffice for me.
Yeah.
No, but speaking of all the stuff with Universal, which I agree with you on that, because the studios part has the shows, but they're kind of rides integrated into shows.
Yeah,
and you really don't have the rides integrated into shows on the Islands of Adventure. Yeah. It's to your point, it's very void of shows. I mean, the IPs are great because when you go to the Jurassic Park area, you're in the exact kind of concept building is what they are in the first movie.
Yeah.
Either way, but if you are familiar with the Universal Studios and you're familiar with the Orlando Informer, there's two people that you're very familiar with. Is a guy by the name of Matt Miller and a person by the name of Mama Miller, who is the fishing lady of the Villages. It was announced on LinkedIn today. I've known Matt for a number of years, and he's also the face on the Fox News channel down in Orlando for, I think, Theme Park Thursday, I think is the segment that he's on. But he's on there quite a bit. He just announced on LinkedIn today that he is leaving Orlando Informer, which shocked me. I didn't see that one coming.
Whoa, where's he going? Did he say?
He is going. I guess you could go on LinkedIn and find it if you're willing to look it up. So I guess I'm not. No, I mean, I can probably mention because it's not. He put it on social media, so I'm sure other people are sharing it. He is going to be part of something to do with creative, not a lead creative. I don't believe something like that, but that's part of the title for a company called Innovative Studios in Orlando.
Cool.
So he's staying in the industry. He's going to be contributing to it, but no longer going to be part of the Orlando Informer.
Wow, that's crazy.
Which, by the way, if you've never heard of the Orlando Informer, it's going to continue on. But if you like going to Universal and you don't like lines, there's no better deal than to go on the night of an Orlando Informer meetup. You pay one price, all the food and all the drinks included, and the longest line you'll wait in is 35 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's usually Hagrid's, and everything else is a walk-on.
Yeah, everything. Right, everything is a walk-on except Hagrid's and Velocicoaster. It's amazing. Oh my gosh, yes, you got to get there. They just announced the dates for the winter meetups. The tickets go on sale soon, so I'll put the link in the description. And if you're coming down to Orlando for IAPA, it's the weekend after IAPA. They always have a meetup. That's usually the biggest one. And then there's another one the first week of December, and then the second week of December, and then there's one in February and one in June normally. So if any of those dates are available to you and you've never done it, do it. Even if you just do one night, it's great.
Yeah, if you go one night, you can do everything in one night because literally you have run of the park. Yeah. I think they top out at either $7,500 for two parks or 10,000. I forget what the number is.
Yeah.
But so it's a very, very manageable crowd size, and they're open till, is it midnight or 1? I think it's 1 o'clock.
I think
1
it's
o'clock in the morning.
midnight on Friday and then 1 on Saturday.
Okay.
Was the last one I went to, but I don't know.
Usually the park pretty much empties out after midnight on the night they're open until 1.
Yeah.
So, but if you do go down there, you want to go to Universal Orlando, and you don't go on a night of one of the meetups, the Orlando Informer is also an authorized reseller of Universal Orlando tickets.
Yes, true.
Just tossing that out there.
True. All right. Good stuff. We just talked about a lot of things.
We did. I thought this would be a short one.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
But, no. We should come spirited and talk about pushbacks and not agreeing more often.
Yeah, I guess so. All right. Well, thanks for checking out the Attractions Group podcast this week. Let us know what else we should talk about down in the comments below. If there's anything we missed, anything you want to hear, our takes on.
And if you know anybody who'd want to contribute to Behind the Scare,
yes.
message us directly.
Yeah, you can do that through the social medias, on the comments of this, through email. Everything's great. We'll take it. And we'll see you back here next week, David.
There we go.
See you then.
Happy 4th.
Wow.